Hello and welcome to another episode of Fully Charged. Well, what a week it's been. Very, very busy week. There's been some very interesting news. It's hard sometimes to extract it from the chaos of the 24-hour news cycle, but a couple of stories have really sprung to mind. One about China. It was a report from BP that China has just overtaken the United States as the largest consumer of energy and the largest importer of oil on the planet, which is, I think quite possibly a pivotal moment. There's another report, which is probably more tongue-in-cheek, that Apple computers have more money in the bank than the American government. But what I think we're seeing is a global shift in the way that energy is consumed and the way it's produced and who's got more of it and who needs more of it and where it goes. And it's going to have an effect around the world, clearly. And also, this was the week that Top Gear reviewed the Nissan Leaf and the Peugeot Ion. Well, I don't want to talk about that because in the past I've got very angry about Top Gear and got really furious and I got very sweary and I did a video on YouTube and upset lots of people and I was very rude. And I have no interest in doing that because essentially they don't have an answer. The men from Top Gear at the end of the piece about the electric cars stood around sort of talking about the future in the most inane and informed way, and they haven't got a clue. They like electric cars. They think electric cars are the future. They think that the battery is the problem and that the future is hydrogen. But the way they always describe that is the future is hydrogen, mumble. As in, no one knows how hydrogen is going to work. Hydrogen is a highly explosive gas. It's extremely difficult to store. It has to be pressurized to an enormous amount. It has to be cooled an enormous amount. It uses vast amounts of energy to produce and store it. There is no infrastructure for it. It would cost trillions of pounds to install a hydrogen recharging infrastructure in this country. I'm not saying it shouldn't be done. I think it's much better that we use hydrogen fuel cells than we use fossil fuels, but I can't see it happening for 50, 60 years. And I really hope it does happen. I hope my grandchildren are driving hydrogen fuel cell cars or travelling in hydrogen fuel cell powered transportation systems. Might not be cars. Batteries obviously are very, very key to this whole argument, and how much do batteries cost and how much will they cost in the future? How much will they cost to replace? That's a big story at the moment. And there's an enormous amount of nonsense being bandied around. One of the things that I do know is, one, they don't kind of run out or break down. What they do is over, say, 100,000 or 150,000 miles, they gradually lose their total capacity. So instead of giving you a range of 100 miles after 100,000 miles, they probably will give you a range of 90 or 85 miles. And after 150,000 miles, that might go down to 80 or 75 miles range. So the range gradually reduces as the battery pack gradually fades. And it's not going to just come off like that. And unlike a fossil fuel engine, which when that breaks or when the clutch goes or when the gearbox goes, you can't drive it. It's broken. You have to take it in and have enormously expensive repairs done. And that does happen to fossil fuel cars after 150,000 miles. Some of them are exceptional and go on for 300,000-400,000 miles. Well, electric cars will easily do that range, if not more. All the servicing costs of a normal, traditionally fueled car, except the engine, are going to be exactly the same with an electric car. The steering assembly, the brakes, the tyres, the windscreen wipers, all that stuff will also need servicing and maintaining. But the things that won't be are the gearbox, the clutch, the oil, the filters, the fan belts, the cooling system, the incredibly expensive catalytic converters and exhaust pipe system, which does need replacing very, very often, and they're very, very expensive and they cost a lot, and we forget and we take that on board because we're used to it. It's technology we're used to. And the fear that is inspiring a lot of these stories is it's because we're talking about technology we're not used to. What will electric cars do in 10 years? It's scary. They'll just carry on exactly as they do when they're brand new. That is the simple fact of the matter. The battery pack in the Nissan Leaf is not replaced in one single huge cost. That is the myth of this whole thing. They've designed it in such a way as that they can refurbish the battery. So let's say after 100,000 miles, you're only getting 80 miles range in your car, and in the winter it's going down to 60 because it's colder and it's not good enough, and you've driven 100,000 miles in it and you really like the car and it's still going fine. So you take it to Nissan, they extract your battery, they extract all the materials, they strip the batteries down, they reuse 96% of the material in those batteries. Because when people say lithium ion, they think it's made of lithium. 2% of the weight of a battery is lithium. There's so much new information. I'm learning too that we don't know about this technology. It's an emerging technology. It's different. We know all about gallons and pounds per square inch and pistons and piston rings and crankshafts and all those. We've known about that for 100 years. Modern battery technology is very different. Then the overall cost of that vehicle, running that vehicle over 10 years, will be hugely, hugely less than running an equivalent petrol or diesel car over the same period. That is the simple truth. On Sunday, I drove on a thing called the Eco Rally, which is a yearly event where a load of alternative fuel vehicles travel from a town outside London into London, and there's a big reception, and it's all very la-di-da. And this year, the Eco Rally started in Oxford, and here's a little report from my journey on the day. Taking part in the Eco Rally, which is a drive from Oxford, which is probably, I don't know how many, 30 miles that way, into London. I'm currently driving a Peugeot Ion, really a little sort of city car. It's a fantastic little car, and we're doing this journey. But what is interesting about this specific car, this actual car, was the car that was featured on Top Gear recently. And when I say recently, because the Top Gear that we're talking about is actually going to be broadcast tonight, so I haven't seen it yet. So they might say on Top Gear, this is the most brilliant car ever and it's fantastic and everyone should have one of these, but they might not. But on the rally today there are, I don't know how many cars, probably 20, 25 different cars.
Yeah, I would say, yeah.
Some of them are running on methane that's been extracted from sewage. Some of them are running on distilled wine waste. There's a Lotus that effectively runs on wine, so they do something to the wine and they distill it and it becomes ethanol, I suppose, isn't it? And a lot of them are electric, some of them are hybrids, some of them are sort of super eco diesels. There's a Range Rover that you're allowed to drive because they've planted so many trees you can offset your carbon. And I'm not going to even use the term greenwash to describe that particular activity. I think it's lovely that they planted lots of trees and very good. So there's a whole variety of cars. It's not just electric cars, there's all sorts of different ones. And this is a yearly event, and it's beautifully organised by some of the most chaotic but charming people that you'd ever like to meet. No one quite knows where they're going or what they're driving. This is the last section of the Eco Rally. You've been driving this car for, like, as your regular car for quite some time, and you know to put it in gear. That was what that little gesture was, because I'd forgotten. And so I'm being very, very ginger with it at the moment because it's basically still in development, isn't it? So you're refining it all the time.
Yeah, there's still. You know, they are prototypes at the end of the day, and we're learning all the time. So at the minute when we're further away from home we go gentle, and when we're close to home you can go a bit harder. So,
so are all 5 of the cars you built, are they all on the road now?
They're all on the road. They're all part of the Technology Strategy Board Ultra Low Carbon Vehicle Demonstrator Programme. So they're all getting real world testing.
Right.
And there's onboard data loggers that information goes back to central government, so they're looking at driver usage, when you charge, how long you charge for, how much energy gets transferred, all those types of things.
So one day there's going to be some government scientists looking at the data from me driving this now.
Yeah,
and going, who the hell had a hold of it that day? He was rubbish. I've been sceptical about hydrogen fuel cells, but that taxi that's on the drive today, you know, that strikes me as an extraordinarily good idea because you could have centralised infrastructures for taxis only, all that stuff. It already exists. You know, would make such a big difference in this city. Because I cycle around in London, and you go behind a load of taxis, and it stinks. They are such ropey old diesel engines that power them. I mean, half the taxis in London have got old, rejected Polish military vehicle engines that they bought the job lot, the people who make taxis. So they're really dirty old diesel engines. They're disgraceful. You wouldn't be allowed to put them in a big manufacturer wouldn't be allowed to put them in a car.
No.
27, we got up to 27, I'm impressed. Don't we go straight on here?
It goes round, straight on this road.
So when we get here, if you could just work up how old they are,
right?
And I think when you get here, you're meant to head towards the stage.
We will do. All right, thanks very much.
See ya.
Oh, you've arrived. Well done, Robert.
We've actually done it. There we go. There's your end of your rally. I shall pull up next to the taxi. That's all I've got time for now. Thank you for watching, and there'll be another episode of Fully Charged coming your way very soon.